Okay,
Right. Thank you very
few
much.
seconds.
You said a few seconds?
Yeah.
I got the notification.
Yeah, I got the notification as well.
Okay, we're live.
All right, perfect. Welcome to the first Community Engagement and Communications Committee meeting for 2023. Happy New Year, everyone. We are coming to you live on a Saturday this time. I was told that in the past, we did a couple of Saturdays per year just to give people who may be busy in the evenings and with childcare and things to that effect an opportunity to engage. So we'll have ourselves a good little conversation today. So we are going to start by pulling up our notes from our meeting minutes from our last meeting and adopting those. So if you give me a minute, I will share my screen. There we go. So can everybody see the minutes?
Yes.
All right. So this was from Thursday, December 8th. We started at 7 p.m. on Zoom. I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to, kind of go through. Let me know if there's anything spelling incorrectly or if anybody remembers something that I did not record here.
And the great cell phone debate. Yeah.
There is one quick, if you
What?
could scroll back down for me for just a moment, please. The final bullet point on item number 3, you can see word caught it. Communities should be singular since members is plural. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
There's a stray bullet at the top of the page. Okay.
And it's replace the track, not upgrade, correct?
It's fine. Either way works.
Okay. All right. If I move that we adopt our Thursday, December 8th meeting minutes. Do I have a second? Any discussion? Any opposed? I think I said that wrong, but
It's fine.
I'm sorry, pause. I see now the attendees. I believe Giovanna uses Isaglara as her last name.
One more time.
Isaglara is Giovanna's last name.
Did she change her name?
I think she changed her last name.
Did she change it? Okay,
I think so.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll remember that next time I have a meeting with her. Thank you.
No worries. All right, meeting minutes are adopted.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Goodness gracious. Me and Robert's rules. I'm gonna get it one day. I'm gonna get it one day. All in favor of adopting the
Aye.
rules?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting minute. All opposed? Meeting minutes have been adopted. Thank you, guys. All right. Up next, we are. I was expecting a gentleman to come to speak with regard to the Woodlands High School Scholarship Fund. He is not here at the moment. So we are going to just roll right into any updates that the superintendent might have. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'll go over some. Yeah, we'll go over to the superintendent updates, and then there are a handful of miscellaneous things. I don't think this morning is going to be a particularly long meeting today.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, am I unmuted? Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So it's clearly Saturday morning. I did not do introductions. Can we each introduce ourselves this morning?
Hi, Dr. Iverson, Superintendent, Greenburgh Central School District. Good morning.
I see David next.
I'm David Warner, board member and parent of a 5-year-old who now has a graduate degree.
I see Emily next.
Hi, I'm Emily Dowie, and I'm the teen librarian at Greenburgh Public Library. Nice to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Samantha Eyes.
Good morning, Samantha. Totally blanked on my children. It's a Saturday. Parent of a Bailey 5th grader and parent of a Highview 2nd grader.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd Court.
Lloyd Court, I don't know if you hear me. Hey, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Lloyd Court, Parkway Gardens, Civic Association, and a father of 2 that graduated from Woodlands High School.
Thank you, thank you. And Johan, I don't know if you're having some technical difficulty there.
I thought it was just showing up on my end, so it's kind of weird, right? I'm glitching.
Yeah, you're glitching like crazy visually. You sound fine.
Yeah, you
Okay.
do sound fine. So if you just introduce yourself and then you can figure
Yeah,
it out.
yeah, sure thing. And first of all, thank you, Samantha, for that. Usually it's the dads that mess up on their kids' number and age and all of that, so I don't feel bad anymore. Johan Snaggs, 2-time Woodlands High School parent, and just general community engaged individual. Just want to be a part of things and see how I might be able to help. So thanks for extending the invitation. And it's a pleasure to put a face to the name too, Mr. Court. I've heard your name a lot around the Parkway Gardens area. So looking forward to connecting with you afterwards as well.
Oh, thanks so kindly. I'm glad I'm so
The court name is legendary here in Greenburgh.
legendary.
All right,
That's gonna
so
be your own time. Yeah.
superintendent updates. Take it away, Dr. Iverson.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Thomas. Good morning again to everyone. I did hear Trustee Warner say that he had some things on his list to go over, one being some overview and bringing the committee up to date where we are on the strategic plan. So I will lean that to him to do that. What I had left on my list to just sort of bring us back to, we in one of our meetings early on this year talked about, the policies around communication and community relations and involvement, and specifically policies 3111 and 3110. Those 2 policies, as I think I related to the committee back then, would be among the ones I submitted to the Governmental Relations and Policy Committee, subcommittee of the board, to review, because we talked about looking at those policies as we're looking to support more engagement and more involvement of the community and partnerships with the school district. We talked about maybe starting there. And as my response,
I'm sorry, if you could just really quick, do you have the specific names to those policies?
yes, okay, so 3111, policy 31 is called Community Relations Involvement. And then the corresponding 3110, which I should have gone in order, is still community relations, but it's all municipal. I don't have the exact name in front of me. I'll get it off my phone, but they both relate to a level of community involvement. Give me a second. So they're separate policies, but all come under the 3000 series around communication in general. I'll get here it is. The subject of the 3110 policy is media, because we talked a lot about media and how the platforms for doing that is media/municipal governments/senior citizens. And that was the one we surfaced, remember, in terms of assuring that we're reaching our senior citizens and just our community members who are Greenburgh residents and have no children in the schools. So those specifically were called out by this committee as how do we look at those to assure that, we are following that if there's some changes needed and what's that process. So I did.
Now, if anybody, sorry, just really quick, if anybody wants to have some level of, input on, any adjustments or anything to that effect to the communication policy, they would head to the government and, sorry.
So I'm going to share that.
Okay, sorry.
So I'm also the liaison to the subcommittee of the board on governmental relations/policy. We have been meeting, we've had about 3 or 4 meetings, And that's what we're beginning to do. Our trustee Ballard, who's over that committee, has done an excellent job in going through all of the policies and sort of prioritizing the ones that really are at the top of the list that we need to do first. And that's when I added these two policies as well. So she runs that committee. And so we, since getting back to you, what we've done is fine-tune that process, Trustee Thomas, on that flow of how policies are reviewed in the district and the input and, you know, from the administration to the public. So if I can try to do this, what I wanted to do is share with you the flow chart,
Okay.
just on how that process flows, and where, if anywhere, the community has input in board policy. The policy development is a board function. This is their governance, and they have a process for how, and it's not just theirs, it's most districts. It's the NISBA Association gives districts and boards direction on just how that should be. What I will say to the committee first is that we are a member of Erie One BOCES that does a lot of policy review for districts. And sometime when we need new policies, want to review a policy, which I'll show you on the flow chart, our very first beginning is to find out from that level, what are the changes? Because if every district in New York has these very same numbers. That's what we all have, these corresponding policies. Now, we may all have individual ones for our own district that we've developed, but consistently and as across the state, NISBA and Erie One BOCES, when they did policies for school districts to follow, they gave them all these numbers. So all districts have these policies at these numbers. So when they make changes at their level, all of us get it, and we can make these changes in our very own policy. So that's where
it's not like automated. It's something where they make a change, then we take a look at it. It doesn't make sense for us to come up with the policy from scratch.
That's exactly right.
They've already done something. But if we want, we do have an opportunity to make, you know, adjustments to fit
yes,
our
we
community
do.
if we want.
You did because they stay on top of what's legislated from the national level, from the state level to the district level. They're the people who do that. So they make those changes and keep the policies updated. So when you're starting at a district level to look at policy change, you start with them to see what's out there, and then you bring it to the district, and then you make it relative to your district. So that's the process. I'll show you that in right now. So I'm going to try to share screen. I have it downloaded, so I'm gonna share it. Do you need to stop sharing for me to share?
I thought I did stop.
Okay, I didn't know if you, okay, so let me share. Okay, it says you just disabled, so now I can share. And let's see where that would be. I downloaded it at the bottom. Let me see, share my.
You downloaded the file, so open the file, and then you should, and then it should, when you look at where it's showing to share,
okay,
it'll be in one of those windows.
Yeah, I didn't see it. So let me see, whiteboard, iPhone, document. That's not where it is. Oh, here it is. Okay, so then click on this and then share. I did it. You see it?
It's opening up now.
Hey, there you go.
I did. Okay, so let me see if you see. It should be 4 columns. So how do I move it? Can you see 4 columns?
Yes.
Yeah, we see.
Okay, for me on my view, it doesn't show that. Let me get rid of this. What came up over here? Sign into your widgets. What is that? Get my remove this.
We see this particular tab fine.
Yeah. Hold on. There is something blocking the screen right now. I don't know. I don't want to do that. Oh, here it is. Let me click out of it. There you go. Okay, so you can just see the arrows. You go down, see where on the far left, on the very bottom, start here. So we want right now to look at these 2 policies. So what we do at what the beginning start is that we draft policy VC from Erie, go to Erie One BOCES. And you know that pull that policy first.
Or us, yeah.
First, we pull from there, and then admin looks at it. I look at it. Board members look at it. That's what we're doing at this committee. And we even then have our attorney look at it. because the language that comes from Erie One BOCES, again, is what they're recommending or what they're saying, this is what the new language is, but we still need to make sure our attorney is aware of it, that we as administrators know that's the way things are done in our district. And so it starts there. So that's a process. It has to go through all these hands. So it's not a quick process. Then it travels to the clerk, who marks up the existing our policy. So what we do is now we're looking at ours compared to what Erie One BOCES, and we mark it up and we delete and or add what language we're going to change. So the policy has lines through words. It may be as simple as changing a word from "the" to "and." I mean, it's been that simple, or taking out certain verbs that are strong and changing it. So that's another process. So we then look at what Erie One BOCES sent us, and then all three groups look at it. Then it goes to the clerk to kind of start making it, marking it up. Then the draft policy is provided again back to us for review. The clerk marks up the policy with the changes, any more changes, if any, and then sends it to the attorney, so we have several times to look at it. Then the clerk marks up the policy with the attorney changes, if any. Again, all of that's then the district clerk sends the final policy to the committee, the governance committee, and for their review. So there are several policies right now at that level. And these two are at this level right now.
Okay.
For that committee to look at. So there's no input yet. And the committee, and so we're beginning to look at policies. We haven't talked specifically about these. I have sent these to the committee. I brought these to our last two meetings and said, here are the changes up to this point, following the arrow. And so the district clerk, once the committee looks at it for review, the clerk again adds final policy draft to the work session for the board agenda to review. So the board gets to see the full board now. And then the board discusses. There could be some recommendations there. The board this is the board's work. And this is
that an open session discussion, or is that an executive session discussion? Okay.
It's an open work session, is open session. So right there is where, if there's some public can hear it. You can hear the board discuss all of this. So there is some level there of public involvement, if you will, and that's your first time as public. You can hear it. You may so the board is discussing it. Then the draft policy presented to the public. To see, here is where the board now is presenting the policy to the public at the board regular meeting. So the very next meeting after the work session, this is the final piece of that. It's still draft, but the board now has put their changes in it, their recommendations, and at the next meeting, you see what's happening there. And then I'm going to grab I want to get rid of the picture so I can see the last column. I can't see the last column. Maybe I can move this over.
I can read it off.
We can see it.
Okay, you can. Well, I can. So you can see the flow.
Yeah, the last two columns just say draft policy adopted at following BOE regular meeting, and district clerk updates policy manual and board docs policies with newly adopted policy.
Okay, so that's the process. So there's not a time the policy comes to this committee.
Okay, got it.
That's my point. The input from the it's not part of the flow that any policy goes out to the committee, to any committee, to look and to the public to make their recommendations for edits. They certainly, at where you see in this flow, have an opportunity to hear the discussion of the board at the work session with their comments, and that's where there's some input.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So I wanted to let you know those two. So right now, there were no changes made to policy from the Erie One BOCES. That's the very short one on community relations involvement. We looked at it. I pulled it. I put Erie One BOCES. The current changes, there are none. This stays the same consistently. So but the one on media, municipal media and governmental relations, had several edits. Right now, that policy is at the board, at the Governmental Policy Relations Committee. We have done all the steps before, the editing, the crossing out. I've looked at it. And so we're now at this point where our committee will look at it, and then we will follow the flow and hopefully get both of these through this process and updated as part of our district policies that we have on board docs.
Got it.
So I can't share the policies with you. That's not within my purview to do here. That is a right of that committee to do that. So that's why I want to make sure you know this is the process we're following.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? So, but so this is clean and it flows, but you can see there's a lot of meetings and a lot of looking at it and changes, and people have opportunity to weigh in many times before it is adopted.
Perfect.
Okay. Did you want to add anything, Trustee Warner? I mean, I know you're not on the Government Relations Committee, but this is something I think was been shared with the board of how we're following the process.
I would share that if at any point in all of this flow chart, things reach a point at which you've made significant changes, you might go back to the beginning and cycle through. So for example, if you get to the point where we think we've got everything, and either any board member or some member of the public sees this thing at its initial presentation and submits written changes that we think are significant, then you might go back and go through the review process again to make sure it's okay with legal, to make sure that the administration buys in, and then it comes back out again. So it's not an inevitability, although 80% of the time or 90% of the time it does just go through the flow chart once. Once in a while, it goes back and we run it through again. And once this waterfall process gets going, then you'll start to see a few policies at each board meeting that are reviewed and go to that final input in the public. And meanwhile, back in the pipeline are other policies wending their way through the system a little at a time. We used to do about 5 policies per meeting. We'll see how it goes.
Right now, we'll tell you that at our Government Relations Committee, we're looking at 10 simultaneously. So 10 doesn't sound like a lot, but there's a lot through this process, and there's a lot keeping track of the edits. So we do have 10 where go ahead.
No, all I said is 10 is good.
That we have 10 from my office that I've submitted to this committee. When I go into this committee meeting with Trustee Valen, and I think Trustee Mears is on it, one more trustee's on it. I come in with where, my office is consistently looking at policy updates, because Ms. Valen has given a list of, we're wanting to get through many policies. So we're trying to keep that momentum going. And so there are 10 with edits all the way now to the Government Relations Committee, where I've reviewed them, the administration has gone to the attorney, and it's now at this committee. So we are making some progress, and these our two that we are looking for are among them. So we are making some progress, but I thought it'd be worth you seeing the flow and the background, what's happening in the background when policy development is being drafted, changed, or edited. It goes through these steps.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Is there anything else by way of updates from you, Dr. Iverson?
No, I was going to have strategic plan overview, not overview, but just where we were. But I'll let Trustee.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Go. I didn't bring any notes, so I'm gonna let you do that. We work. All I will say is that we have worked. Trustee Mears developed an ad hoc committee of the board of 3 board members who have worked with me, Dr. Macaluso, Lisa Raymond. We have spent about 15 hours looking at the last phase of the strategic plan. So I'll let Trustee Warner take it from there.
So before you go, David, I just want to ask one question, Dr. Iverson. I just wanted to see if over the last couple of weeks there were any updates on the United Way after school potential programming.
So yeah, okay, I didn't put it on my list because I have sent home information in my message, and I went home through the backpacks of students. That program at Highview.
Yep.
Yes, we have sent home flyers. Highview sent home flyers to parents for trying to letting parents know about the program. and I'm looking for parents who are interested in their child participating. And it clearly on there says what they need to do. So we've made progress in that. The board approved it, flyers went out. So hopefully that program will start soon. Right now in every building though, we have academic enrichment after school. Highview also has an academic enrichment program, so does Bailey, so does Jackson. So that's going on now for kids to get that extra push. But the ENL United Way program, it took some time. United Way has to get their site license because it's in our building and they have to go through a process to get the license for that. So right now, while they're doing that, flyers went out to get the numbers, see who's interested, and see if we can get the numbers.
Got it.
Dr. Iverson, out of curiosity, I didn't hear you mention Woodlands High School. Is there one that's being developed or considered?
Not through United Way, no. United Way, the United Way specifically, this is their after-school program. They come on site, they bring their staff, they do the curriculum, they provide everything, and they have a focus on this age of 8-year-olds. They're middle Highview level age students, and they're looking at ENL students, those kids with limited language as well. So we didn't have any direction or any input in the parameters of their program, but we saw it as an opportunity to get some additional support for our ENL students and students at Highview, which is at that very pivotal age before they go to intermediate school, who would need some extra support. So the after-school program is not at high school, but the high school has after-school programs and after-school clubs and after-school activities. That's in place there.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Iverson. David, do you want to go over the strategic plan and the energy performance contract?
Sure. Could you unshare your screen?
Oh, sure. How do you see? Stop sharing.
So I'm going to do the energy performance contract piece first. I think if this works this time, we've had some technical difficulties in the past. I'm going to try and screen share myself. Let's see if I can find this. So I'm giving you the short version. Come on. Okay, share. Okay, can you guys see a screen of a PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the 2-minute version of the energy performance contract for this is the vote this coming Tuesday. So let me see what I get.
We see the front page of the presentation.
Yep. I don't hear you. Are you talking?
David? I don't see his lips moving.
Oh, he says letting us read it. Okay.
Would you?
Okay,
Music was a nice touch. Music was a nice touch.
Good, good, good. So, so the long and the short of it is that there's a vote this coming Tuesday. It's to authorize 10% aid for the energy performance contract, and the general idea is that we have $21 million worth of upgrades and things to make us more energy efficient, and solar panels and a battery energy storage system to generate power and save us money in the long term. And all of this is at no additional cost to the taxpayer, because we have found a way to, through rebates from the outside and through energy savings, to offset the costs. It's an 18-year contract, and we're very optimistic about it, and want everybody to mark the calendars and come out and vote. From the polls are open at Woodlands High School Gymnasium from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. on this coming Tuesday. Are there questions? Okay, great. So that was the short version of the energy performance contract. Then the other thing that we wanted to go over very briefly was the 5-year strategic plan. And I believe, Dr. Iverson, you already touched on it a little bit. So the 5-year strategic plan, we've been working on it for quite a long time now. There were 4 phases to the process. In phases 1 and 2, we assembled a community group to develop a mission statement, a set of core beliefs, portrait of a graduate, and then we set up a series of 5 high-level goals on student success, infrastructure, communications and engagement, a safe and healthy climate and culture for the schools, and maintaining a premier workforce. And then in phase 3, they broke each of those down and went into subcommittees and figured out what the sub goals and action plans would be for that. And then it's like, okay, so we know what we want. How do we measure it? So then phase 4, we actually we broke out an ad hoc committee of 3 board members and 3 administrators, and came up with the various tools that we would use to try and measure our success. And now this list of things has sort of morphed into a 25-page spreadsheet with lots and lots of detail. And so now we finally have turned that back over to the board as a whole. The board will now review it, take their final pass at it, we'll show it to the public, and we'll adopt it. So stay tuned, it's coming.
Yes.
The one thing that I wanted to do was to, it's Martin Luther King's birthday celebration this weekend. The students have been celebrating the life of Martin Luther King. I just wanted for your edification, I wanted to share with you a couple of old Martin Luther King quotes from when he was a Morehouse College student in 1947, and what he thought about education. And then I want to share with you the portrait of a graduate that our committee came up with in 2022, and see if there are any parallels there. Okay, so this is Martin Luther King, 1947, talking about the purpose of education. He says, education must train one for quick, resolute, and effective thinking. To think incisively and to think for oneself is very difficult. We're prone to let our mental life become invaded by legions of half-truths, prejudices, and propaganda. To save man from the morass of propaganda, in my opinion, is one of the chief aims of education. Education must enable one to sift and weigh evidence, to discern the true from the false, the real from the unreal, and the facts from the fiction. And the function of education, therefore, is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. But education which stops with efficiency may prove the greatest menace to society. The most dangerous criminal may be the man gifted with reason, but no morals. We must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Okay, that's King, 1957. Yeah. So what does our portrait of the graduate look like for Greenburgh Central Schools in 2022? The Greenburgh portrait of a graduate. Greenburgh graduates are kind, conscientious, capable, and independent. They welcome diverse perspectives and comfortably adjust their views as they grow. As collaborative, creative, and critical thinkers and communicators, as well as curious lifelong learners, they cultivate tools needed for sustained growth in the 21st century. As ethical, global citizens, they feel the full support of the Greenburgh community. I would submit to you that not a lot has changed, not as much as you would think has changed since 1947. That all of the things that are said here are not just straight intellectual, they're also about character building. The International Baccalaureate virtues seem to have worked their way into this portrait of a graduate. And I think we're moving in the same direction. Any comments?
Yes, can I piggyback? Thank you. What a great a comparison you made there, Trustee Warner. I just thought that was very, very, very touching and very good. And I think it's so true. You are definitely showing there that what he stood for in terms of what, in defining education, with that academics being very important, but it's equally as important what kids bring with that, the character, the critical, the four to five C's you mentioned. And as it relates to our portrait of a graduate and our strategic plan, I want to, and I know Miss Ives was on that initial committee, that ground committee. I want to thank your committee as one for coming up with that description. We just, it's been tweaked a little, but that started with that committee, and so we have a community that believes in that. Secondly, when we're thinking about that portrait of a graduate, you think, what do we want our graduates to look like when they leave us? What do they have? What do they look like? Those C's that Trustee Warner read: communication, collaboration, skills they should have: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, curiosity. Those, we want our students to take that with their academics into the college or into the workforce. So we're broadening our scope around what that college and career readiness looks like, because every child is not on that path for college. Some children are going right into skills, but it doesn't matter. The workforce is saying, send us kids, even the colleges. They want children who can sit around tables, us just students, as think tanks, and to be able to push on them and be able to think critically. So we are proud of that portrait of the graduate, so much so what I want to give you the next piece of it, that what we're hoping to do when the strategic plan is adopted as part of it, have our students draft for us, or I haven't approached Ms. Cronin or the art department, but have the students design, for example, a logo that depicts that portrait of a graduate and kind of, points out those C's, so that we can, when we have this whole plan on the website with the portrait incorporated, that becomes the logo aligned with Greenburgh Central School District for us, for, doing a strategic plan for the next 5 years and beyond, for how our graduates have look like when they leave, as well as it becomes what we just continue to, when we talk about our portrait of a graduate, that logo will be something that will stand for that. So why not have our kids even design it? So I'm hoping to approach our art department once this is adopted, and get the students involved in creating for them. We've defined it. How do you want it to look in the form of a logo that we can adopt in Greenburgh?
Fantastic exercise. Fantastic exercise. Me as student voice, I love to have that included in everything we do. Samantha? I'm sorry, Lloyd. Samantha had her hand up. If you can just.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll be quick, Mr. Court. I'll give you the floor in just a moment. I love that idea. I'm right there with Trustee Thomas on student voice, and I'm so excited by what they might come up with. But I just want to add, since we're recording and putting this out to the community, I just want to add a little bit on the process of that, because I was
yes, you were part of it.
And I want the community who didn't sit in the meetings to understand that it's a whole consideration. We started with, what do we want our kids to be able to do? What do we see them succeeding in? And that was parents, teachers, administrators, community members across the board, with students of all different levels from all different backgrounds. What does it mean for your student to succeed? What does that look like? And then we worked backwards and broke open what kind of a person is capable of that, and what do they need, and where do they come from, and what sort of community grows that sort of person. So it's a really holistic process, starting with goals and starting with the dreams and the thinking big, and then bringing it to what do we need to provide to create the sort of person who's capable. And all of our students are, absolutely, but finding the words and working through that process was important. And I want people to appreciate how much consideration really went into it.
Yes. Thank you. I really did. And I think you all did a tremendous job in defining that for us. So thank you, because that was the frame for which we continue to do the work in developing a strategic plan. Trustee Warner can attest that in these healthy, long, lengthy discussions, that motivated all of the decisions that were made. So thank you for that foundation.
Right, it all comes back to that. I think Mr. Court wants.
Now, Mr. Thomas,
Mr. Court, it's we're
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't respectfully put up my hands. However, I failed to do that. But my comment on all of this is that I think that the committee has done an extensive job and also a very good job in coming up with that statement. But one thing that I failed and always try to articulate is giving back. And there's absolutely nothing there in terms of returning all this, the character, the critical thinking, the collaboration, everything that is said is very much conducive with Woodlands, the way Woodlands operate. But the most important thing, and that's what I gather from the governor after she had recognized my involvement, is giving back to the community. And there is absolutely nothing there that shares that. And for immemorial times, I've been bringing that up to Woodlands. If the kids are cognizant of the fact that they owe to the community, they give back to the community, I think that we'll be making progress. This is one thing that I don't know, Dr. Everson, if you had seen it, but I sit on the police advisory board. And one thing that we do is to get students from different schools within the police jurisdiction. And when we get these students, we would like them to come back to us after going to college, come back to us and tell us how their experience has been tied in. I mean, because this is what we want Woodlands to realize, because we have the gamut of good students that left Woodlands, professionals, high-ranking professionals. But what? You never call them back. You never let them realize that it's not where they are, but where they started, but where they are. And if these students, and if that goes through Woodlands, could realize that it's embedded in them to come back to their community, then I think we're doing something. But just articulating the fact that they would be good characters, good employees, they'll be good persons, they'll be good fathers, I don't think that's much. So please, that's my point, and I would like to see somehow or the other that Woodlands try to embed this in their kids, in the students, so that they realize where they start and not where they possibly ended up. If they didn't have a good start like Woodlands, they would never be in the position they are.
Thank you so much for that point, Mr. Port. I've thought about everything you said, but not exactly the way you said it. And I think in terms of how we operate within this committee, I can take those things into consideration, and perhaps you and I can talk offline a little bit, just to, because there's nothing coming up right now, but that will help color so sort of some of the ways that we work within within the committee.
Trustee
Dr.
Warner.
Iverson, Dr. Iverson or David, I will to piggyback on Mr. Court's question, obviously we've completed the strategic plan. We have the Excel spreadsheet. We're going to roll it out in a way that's more visually understanding for everybody. But what, if anything, is the mechanism? 5 years is a long time, and I know that we have to do 5-year strategic plans. But there's also something about being dynamic and responsive to things like what Mr. Court brought up. And so we obviously don't want to wait 5 years to have that kind of be something that that's foundational to what we do. So what, if any, mechanism is there for adjustments, amendments to the strategic plan throughout the next 5 years?
You want to go first, Trustee Warner? Go ahead.
Sure. So you can come back and modify the strategic plan once we get it adopted every year. And we'll also be making sure that we set 1-year goals for short-term achievement based upon what's in the 5-year plan. So we can do that, but of course, it's just at the board, it's just come to the board. So if you come back and you say, make sure that there's some piece in there that says that you realize that you need to pay it forward, you need to give back to the community once you've reached all the success or even as you're going through the process, then it's not too late. We can put something in before we adopt it. We have not adopted the final draft of the plan.
Got it.
I was about to go off in another direction. When we finish with this, the WISE kickoff, we're trying to invite alumni. So that's a concrete example of us trying to make a call for people to come back and share their experience. So that dovetails right in, but I don't want to stop other people from talking first.
No, that's what I was going to say, as well as I will add, some of the things we want aren't specifically stated. They become activities that support the broader statements in the strategic plan. So there is still opportunity, is my point for that. We have a focus area on community and engagement. That's the focus area. And there are some very specific objectives, 3 or 4, that have been fleshed out, going to the right with those activities. And as Trustee Warner said, the metrics and how we're going to, over the 5-year period, determine our progress. So we'll take a closer look at that. I don't have the plan in front of me. I should know it by heart by now, but I don't remember every section in detail. I do think we have some language in there around that giving back, giving that opportunity for students to pay it forward and give it back to the community or be engaged in the community as they matriculate, and that's, of course, once they get into high school. So well noted. We'll take a look at it.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Iverson. And one thing that popped into my head a little while back when we were talking about kind of the 5 C's, and this is something I'm going to be bringing up in the education and wellness committee, and you guys might wind up getting tired of me, talking about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. But I have been pouring into, these tools, and I'm not sure if everybody knows, New York City has made the decision to ban the tool and not allow it on, students' devices and on teachers' devices. And I think it's definitely a mistake. So this is something we'll have to wrestle with as well. And it relates to kind of the 6th C, which is content, which so much of, education is built around, to today, when those 5 C's though are things that, you know, are going to completely stand the test of time. You know, so we don't know that if a kid is going in kindergarten today, we have zero idea what the jobs and things to that effect are going to look like. We don't know what school is going to look like, you know, when they get out. But we do know that if they are able to take those 5 C's and we're able to really instill those things into them at a high level, that whatever things look like, they'll have the best possible ability to handle and thrive in that environment. So I guess we can go on, David, to the to WISE. That was something that I was going to bring up as well. We on February 3rd, I lost my page here, sorry. On February 3rd at 4th period between 10:33 and 11:21, there is going to be a WISE kickoff, and they're looking for alumni who have been involved in WISE and have something to express about the program, you know, help students get excited about the program, to come and join. I will definitely be joining there. I will be bringing some friends because, as I've mentioned in the past, you know, WISE it really was a fantastic, you know, tool for me and many of my friends. So, you know, we'll be communicating to the students how, you know, how important the program was to us and can be to them if they take advantage of it.
Great.
Johan?
Yes, thank you. Just a little bit on the WISE topic. We met with some of the professionals involved from the Woodlands High School. Unfortunately, there was a deadline in December that we weren't aware of. We were hoping to get senior assembly so that we could try to recruit more than the current 15 students that are enrolled. So as an alternative, we're going to work with the 15 that are there, Fairview Empowerment Group, as well as Supervisor Feiner. Lieutenant Hall will be in attendance at that kickoff for those students that might have the bandwidth to include more than what they've already selected, or for those that are undecided, to see if we could potentially recruit them into our effort. You might recall that the WISE program was going to be somewhat of a substitute for the Greenburgh taste-off market that we were hoping to launch this coming spring. So we're going to use that as an opportunity to see if we could get student body engagement as an alternative. They're also including juniors as well in this kickoff. So at the very least, we might be able to be given a lot more runway for next year's activity and get juniors involved a lot sooner. As you know, it's the junior year that's most important when it comes to college applications. So I think the earlier we could start the program, the better it would be for the student body overall.
Agreed.
And I would add one thing to that, and Mr. Snaggs, you are a prime example of how this is supposed to work. So in WISE, you, as a student, you pick your own topic, whatever you want to research, whatever you want to work on, whatever you want to try out, and then you have you keep a journal, and you have a mentor who is usually a teacher, and then you very often have either a placement in which you actually go someplace. We try to get you out of the school. And it very often, WISE has been around for about 50 years. So previous generations of students who've gone through WISE go out and then they go and have careers, and then they become opportunities for placements. So if you think that you can find a way that you can, you know, bring another high school student up to where you are, and I experienced this as a mentor in which somebody wanted to learn how to be a professional chef and get into the culinary institute of their choice, and decided BOCES wasn't for them, but if they could work at a really nice high-end restaurant. And we found someone who had graduated from WISE years ago and had a nice restaurant in Dobbs Ferry, and the person said, come on to the kitchen and you can start chopping vegetables and work your way up. And that works, okay? And it has worked. And so anybody in the community who, if you think you could possibly be a placement, or to a lesser extent, If somebody's dealing with an interview process, we ask the students to go out and talk to people who are out there in the community and understand what's going on. And if you can't provide a placement, if you could at least provide an opportunity to have someone interview you or shadow you for a day or just for a very short period of time, any contribution is welcome. Everything knits the community together.
Something that just popped into mind, Dr. Iverson, and this kind of dovetails with what you said that what we were going to be doing around the strategic plan and using students to, kind of create artwork expressing it. Maybe around WISE, like Dave just told a really good story. Finding some of those people. I don't know if we're having journalism students or students working with Steve Lewis on understanding the power of visual storytelling and things to that effect. But perhaps we can, engage students in some way in telling the story of WISE, particularly because this is that 50th year. It could just be them on their phones. I just feel like they would just need somebody to kind of give them a little bit of direction and send them on their way. But I think it could be a powerful tool. See you later, Samantha. I don't know if you want to respond to that, Dr. Iverson, and then Lori.
Yes, I wrote it down. It's well noted. We'll see.
Mr. Court.
Something that I consider rather important, and that is through the conversation, I haven't heard anything about parents. And both of my kids and several of them that I know personally that have done extremely well from Woodlands went through the same WISE program. And what has happened is that parents, even though they wouldn't be in attendance, are always the most important catalyst. If you don't have someone in between to push that child, that we're talking about the 16, 17, 18-year-old kid that don't have the experience and mentality as we have. And if the parents don't know, then it becomes a situation, a matter of fact situation for that kid. So somewhere within that that nucleus, I think something should the parents don't have to be there all the time, just like I didn't have to be there all the time. But being cognizant of what's going on, I was able to be that conduit that when things are falling off, I could ask the appropriate questions. And that's what parents are for. If you don't let them know what they are responsible for their kids to be a contributing factor of society, then there's that thing that is missing. Some kids have their own ability to do things on their own. Other kids has to be propelled, has to be reminded, has to be nurtured. So you need, who is going to be that person? Or else we'll lose WISE as we have lost it before. So please, I want somewhere within that line, I would like to see some sort of parent involvement. How it's going to be implemented, I don't know. Putting heads together, certainly we will find out. One thing I have to say with it, and I can't understand how we have lost it, and that is the buddy system. When a kid gets into middle school, there's always a high school student that becomes his or her buddy. And that thing worked very well. It worked then, it will work for WISE, and it will work as long as one lives.
Yeah. I guess I'll mention, and obviously, that this is a whole another thing, but it's almost, 21st century kind of buddy systems. What a lot of schools do now is they have what's called crews. So there'll be like 4 crews in the school. And you one of the schools I go to, you spin a wheel, and it's like divine intervention, which and everybody's clapping and stuff like that, and you know what I mean. And when somebody's on your crew, it's like there's this whole excitement that comes with it. And then what's weaved into schooling is this crew is focused on this crew is focused on this. If you need a big buddy, you know what I mean, you go to your crew for that, and it's they keep it positive so it doesn't become like. There's a healthy competition component to it in the environment. So maybe as we look at the strategic plan and we go year by year, the things like that can be introduced as possibilities.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so if anybody does anybody else have anything else they want to mention related to WISE? Okay, so the other things that I wanted to mention today was a good note, something I saw this weekend, that Greenburgh was named one of the 10 best places to live in the Northeast. There was an article I will share with with folks. I'll put it in the chat right now, and then I'll share it in an email with the overall group. But it was in MSN Money. So I thought that was interesting, and I certainly feel that way. In the Northeast, not in the country, in the Northeast. Something else I wanted to bring up was Monday is obviously MLK Day, and people consider that a national day of service. I'm looking for something to do. I have not found anything yet. I wanted to see whether anybody on the call perhaps knew of any opportunities for service. And just to encourage anybody listening to also we're all from school, we're all from work, consider taking this day to go out and help our community or some other community. So does anybody have any service opportunities that they would want to share?
Unfortunately, I'm about to go out and hand out flyers for the upcoming vote on Tuesday. So perhaps if you consider that to be a community service, we are trying to build up the schools physically. That's my contribution, but there are other ways.
Yes, that's certainly a community service, 100%. I'm probably looking along the lines of feeding or mentoring or something to that effect. But if I don't find one of those opportunities, perhaps I'll be out there passing out flyers with you on Monday day.
We'll see.
So yeah, I wanted to put that out there. Tonight there is a game at Woodlands. It's that there's some staff from Woodlands playing the Harlem Wizards game. Harlem Wizards are similar to the Harlem Globetrotters, so it'll be a fun event. Tickets are still available. I guess if I put the link in the Zoom chat, everybody does not necessarily get it, but I will put the link in the chat here, and it'll be too late by the time people watch it later on YouTube. So, but anybody who's watching, please join us tonight. I'm going to be playing in the game. I'm going to try not to hurt myself, and I'll leave the dunking to the Harlem Wizards. That's pretty much all I have for today. I'm not sure if anybody has anything else they want to mention or bring up. Emily, I don't know, is there anything going on at the library we should know about?
Yeah. So yeah, this was a great meeting. I just wanted to say that so the library has a lot of really great programs for students. We have an amazing Black History Month series. I can share the flyer with, I don't know who I should send the flyer to maybe pass it out to students.
You can send it to my office. It will get it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And if you send it to me as well, Emily, I will get it out to the committee email.
Okay, awesome. Also, we have a really great and robust teen volunteer program if students need community service hours, and we do volunteer orientations about 4 times a year. So if students want to get involved with us, they can check out our website and sign up for an orientation. And our volunteering is hybrid, so they can volunteer online or in person. And we have, I think, at least 100 students who volunteer with us from Woodlands and other schools around. Also, if anyone wants to join the Greenburgh Library Guild, and that helps raise, they help fundraise for us. We really need people. So if anyone's interested, they can get in touch with our library director, Christina Ryan Linder.
That's
I just-
the Library Guild, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to mention, Mr. Thomas, is that I am proud to announce that one of Woodland's graduates has just received his doctorate in mathematics and now is working at, I think is a university in Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
One of the things that propelled him, as I spoke to him, he said, is that there's one teacher that said to him, I don't know why you're in my class, because you are not very attentive.
Mm.
And he took those words to his undergrad it was in Mississippi, and he left there and went to North Carolina, did his master's, and he left there and went to all in scholarships. He left there and went to Howard University and just gained a PhD in mathematics.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. I mean, there's lots of fantastic stories in terms of Greenburgh graduates. I think that we'll continue to try to do a better job of sharing many of those amazing stories. I've talked here and at the board meetings about the gentlemen from Earn Your Leisure, and they're sitting down with Robert Smith and Steve Harvey and Tyler Perry, and they're just they're doing amazing things, and they are children of this incredible community that we have the opportunity to be a part of. So if no one has anything else, I think that is an outstanding way for us to end today. So does anybody else have anything else? So I move that we end this afternoon's meeting, this morning's meeting.
So moved.
Goodness,
Second.
All those in favor?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, guys, everybody have a fantastic day. Hopefully you guys can make it later to the basketball game.
Take
What
care.
time does it start?
Bye-bye.
Starting at 5 p.m. today at Woodlands. And again, I put the link in the chat for tickets.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. See you there.